Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, August 13, 2019. I am Rochelle Batiste with the details. The Girls High School, the GHS, is the nation's overall top performer in the May-June 2019 Caribbean Examinations Council Secondary Education Certificate Examination (CSEC), registering a 96.9% pass rate, followed by the St. Vincent Grammar School, which registered a 91.44% pass rate. They were followed by the Beckwith Seventh-day Adventist High School with 88.57%, St. Martin's Secondary School 87.7%, St. Joseph Convent Kingstown 84.35%, Mountain View Adventist Academy 82.08%, and St. Joseph Convent Mariaqua 80.71%. Additionally, 11 schools obtained pass rates between 60% and 80%. 3 girls' high school students are SVG's top performers in CSEC. They are Zonia Batiste, who passed 14 subjects, obtaining 12 grade 1 and 2 grade 2s. Lonnie Brown, who sat 15 subjects, obtaining 8 grade 1s, 6 grade 2s, and 1 grade 3. The other top performer from the girls' high school is Adia Holder, who passed 14 subjects, obtaining 13 grade 1s and 1 grade 2. The Ministry of Education said this year 2,478 candidates from SVG registered for the exams. Out of this number, 817 were private candidates, while 1,661 were school candidates, sitting 11,222 entries in 31 subject areas from 26 secondary schools. The ministry said the preliminary figures show 74.33% of the subject entries were awarded grade 1 to 3, a passing grade. This compares to 74.67% in 2018 and 73.25% in 2017. In other news, founder of Basil Scholarship Foundation, Basil Charles, is asking that duty be removed on textbooks, noting the high cost on some textbooks which students have to purchase for school. Charles, who was at the time addressing the award of scholarships and bursaries by his foundation at a ceremony today, pointed to the many expenses that parents have to incur to send their children to school.
To try to help the people who, we know when you come from, the countryside, even if education is free, the bus transportation, the clothes, the textbook, they are very expensive. The only thing I can't even understand about my country is that we have such duty and textbook, which is for kids to read. I don't know why we can't take up the duty of textbooks so that textbook could be cheaper for kids.
Charles has been giving out scholarships for the past 25 years to parents who need help in sending their children to secondary school. Today, 4 students received scholarships, another 4 received bursaries. Charles stressed the importance of education, noting that he did not complete his secondary education due to financial struggles, and he has since dedicated himself to help students financially and otherwise.
Out and we'll give you the check and the certificate. The scholarships are, as everybody know, for the first term we give you $600 because we think the first term when people are going to school it's harder, so we make it $600. The other 2 terms we give you $500. The scholarship works for 5 years while they go to secondary school, and we hope that all the parents and guardians would actually make sure these kids are using this scholarship to better themselves. It's nothing to do, it's to make your life better. You and your family life better. That's the whole idea.
The Basil Scholarship Foundation also helps students with additional school programs, which were outlined at today's ceremony.
Robotics, they go sightseeing and making learning fun through science and technology. We're also partnering with the Girls High School in their mentorship program, and I want to encourage parents that money is not easy to come by, and this is to assist you with your financial challenges.
The Methodist Church Kingston and Chateaubelair Circuit last Sunday launched a 2019 secondary scholarship program under the theme Grace in Action. The scholarship program came out of a proposal by the Superintendent Minister of the Methodist Circuit, who suggested that this year's mission project should be a scholarship program. Speaking at the launching ceremony, Chair of the Scholarship Committee, Christabel Ashton, said after the decision was made to start the scholarship program, the circuit decided to award a child from each of the 3 zones.
Circuit every year has its own mission project. And in the initial discussions, he put together a committee, and we had the initial discussions in his office with Reverend Davis being the chair. And we decided that instead of giving 1 scholarship, we would give 3 scholarships, and we would give 1 to each zone. I think we all are aware that we have 3 zones, 1 Kingston and the churches north of Kingston, 1 Camden Park, 2 Camden Park to Barrowley, and 3 the North Leeward congregations, Spring Village to Chateaubelair. So we came up with some guidelines.
Ashton said that the criteria for the scholarship recipients is different from other scholarship programs, as their mission is to ensure all of the less fortunate children from the Methodist Church are provided with the necessary assistance to excel.
To feed the poor, to look after the orphans and the widows of our day. And the orphans and widows of our day are not necessarily wives without husbands and children without parents. They are people who do not have the economic means to make life for themselves. And so we have as our criteria children whose parents or guardians are low income or unemployed, children who attend the Methodist Church. We had some discussions as to whether the child should have been baptized a Methodist, but we decided that once the child comes to church, we should not hold anything else against that child.
Ashton said under the program, 3 students receive a scholarship to complete their secondary school education, while 4 students receive bursaries. Reverend Adolph Davis was on hand on Saturday to present the scholarships and the bursaries.
We are going to present this afternoon scholarships to 3 recipients and bursaries, a one-time grant of $500 to 4 students, and the scholarships are valued at 1,500 East Caribbean dollars. This is a scholarship for the life of the child's secondary education. And so we have also decided as a team and as a circuit that it's not only the giving of the scholarship, but we're going to try our best to be involved in the life of the child.
The frequency of earthquakes in the Caribbean over the past months has resulted in countries across the region taking an active role in tsunami awareness. Unlike hurricanes, tsunamis can be tracked daily and can strike within minutes, causing serious infrastructural damage and loss of life. SVG-TV's Bhavin Oliver earlier today spoke with the director of the National Emergency Management Organization, Michelle Forbes, on this natural phenomenon and what the organization has been doing to ensure its readiness to respond to a tsunami and getting the general public tsunami ready. Here is more in this report.
A tsunami is a wave or a series of waves caused by volcanic activities or earthquakes and can cause serious damage to infrastructure and death for those caught in it. Tasked with the mandate of preparing communities for all natural occurrences is the National Emergency Management Organization, NEMO. Its director, Michelle Forbes, said the organization has been working with many coastal communities to educate them on the science behind tsunamis and the warning signs to look out for. Forbes said tsunamis caused by nearby volcanic or earthquake activity can strike within a few minutes, making it difficult to provide warning. She said as such, communities have been sensitized on the signs they need to look out for, with large earthquakes being one of them.
Because there may be earthquakes that generate large tsunamis, for example, that are close. For example, if we have a what we call a near source earthquake that generates a large tsunami, it's unlikely you'll have the warnings because it's close enough to us that the tsunami waters will be upon us within a few minutes. So you will not have the time to give a warning. So we tend to look at what we call the tsunami smart, in that we give you information of what can cause a tsunami and what you're supposed to do. So some of the first signs that we say, you feel a very strong earthquake, and when we say very strong earthquake in terms of a near source tsunami, we mean an earthquake that really rocks you. You can barely stand. Things are falling down all over the place, and you find it difficult to really stand and walk. So that's an near source. So when you feel that strong earthquake, we say what we call you run. When it's run to higher ground. In St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we're not short of high grounds because we're a mountainous country. And so that's one of the first signal you find. You feel a very strong earthquake, you run.
Forbes said receding seawater is another sign to look out for.
Now the sea receding, that's one of the common signs of that a tsunami may be next. You see the sea line, the sea recede, right? So that you're on the beach and you see the sea go all the way out to the back. Pull back a distance. It's not for you to go and pick up the fishes or the shells you see on the ocean floor. It's for you to realize by that time it's almost too late. You need to start running to higher ground, right? So that's one of the signs that we basically teach on that. So feel sea, and then by the time it's here now, if you hear the sea roaring on abnormal, by that time it's probably too late because you can't outrun a tsunami. In terms of the waves, if you're very close to the shore. So the feel, see and hear, if you hear that kind of roar in the ocean and so on, you hear these waves really roaring coming, you need to get up to higher ground.
The NEMO director said evacuation is key, and they are working on a project to create evacuation maps and signs to provide the public with life-saving information.
So we are going to be mapping and working with the communities from Kingston to Argyle, looking at the evacuation routes. We're working closely with the physical planning GIS department to develop these maps. They're the ones who are working with us in developing these maps. We're working with Union Island also, developing those evacuation maps that we move to higher ground and put it in the evacuation sign. So this is ongoing for the rest of the year because we recognize it's one of the threats that can impact us in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and we need to recognize also that over the last few years the entire world has been highly seismically active. Even in the region, in the world, we have seen more earthquakes, we have seen more devastating earthquakes, we are seeing more tsunamis too, so we need to pay attention to these phenomena.
St. Vincent was impacted by a tsunami in 1867, which affected communities such as Rose Place and Port Elizabeth in Bequia. The country has also recorded a small tsunami in 1945, caused by the underwater volcano Kikamjeni. As such, NEMO continues to explore avenues to provide warnings for this natural occurrence and to get Vincentians tsunami ready. For SVG-TV's Evening News, I am Bhavin Oliver.
Thank you, Bhavin. Emergency shelters play a crucial role in protecting persons during and after a natural event, and shelter managers across the country are being trained to increase their capacity in dealing with current and future challenges associated with shelter management. The three-day training workshop, which began earlier today at the NEMO headquarters, brings together shelter managers from both the mainland and Grenadines. Director of NEMO, Michelle Forbes, said that over the last 5 years, global temperatures have been on the rise, which increase the risk of natural disaster. She said as such, it is crucial to retool experienced persons as well as to train the next generation of shelter managers.
And the new forecast that came out last week indicate that the conditions are going to be a bit more favorable for storms because of the high temperatures that we have been having, not just only in the Caribbean, around the world. We saw Jamaica earlier this year, June, July, clocked 39.9 degrees Celsius in one day. And we have to recognize that with the change in climate, we are going to have more intense storms, intense events, hence the need for us to activate emergency shelters even more as we go over the next few years. So therefore, this training is really important for us to have enough persons trained throughout St. Vincent and the Grenadines to be able to manage the emergency shelters and support the national system. So I really want to thank you for coming here today. I know you're going to enjoy the 3 days. We at least have one field exercise for you. And those of you who are coming for the first time, don't be a stranger. We are always looking for volunteers in the national system. We are always looking for volunteers in the community. It doesn't have to necessarily be with NEMO, but we have the Red Cross that works in the community also. You can join and support them.
Forbes said while the physical impacts of natural events are recognized, the psychosocial impacts are not often examined, and as such, the workshop will seek to train shelter managers in addressing this problem.
When emergencies happen, who are affected? People, families, children, different sections of the population, older men, older women, young men, young women, babies. And we have to be able in our teaching to be able to know how do we deal with all these sections of the population. We call it the gender divide. And we have included in this course for the first in the region the whole psychosocial support. Because after emergencies, people deal with disasters differently, and some have a rough time in terms of how do they continue after they have been affected, especially if they have lost everything, their homes, and even if they have lost loved ones, which is sad. So we have to continue to include different aspects that we can actually deal with the needs of the people, not just the physical needs. Too often we look at just the house that is damaged, or a road or bridge that is damaged, but not enough on the people. So in this course, we have brought in the psychosocial support component, and that will be led by the Red Cross.
Using the examples of the British Virgin Islands and Dominica, which were ravaged by storms in 2017, Forbes said it is important to examine the impacts on the very young and the aged.
Coming out of 2017 storms and hurricanes in BVI and Dominica. The next year, the CSEC results were excellent in some of those countries. And some laughed at it and said, well, okay, maybe the students did not have the internet to waste time or be idle, because most of them did not get back the Wi-Fi before the exam, so they concentrated on their books. That is for the teenagers part of it. But the children, the lower children now in the primary school, did not do so well. And we need to ask ourselves, why are these things happening? How did those disasters impact the children at different ages? Because they do affect us differently in our society. How do we deal with older men who sometimes are abandoned in the shelters? And that goes back to our society. What is happening to our society? Why are they being abandoned? And these are some of the issues that problems and challenges that we'll find when you actually manage an emergency shelter.
What are you complaining for? Is the response given by Queen's Counsel panel Campbell, referring to persons who criticize the decision of installing SVG's new Governor General on Emancipation Day. Speaking on his Law and You program last evening on SVG-TV, Campbell said the majority of Vincentians voted in the referendum 2009 to keep the monarchy of Queen Elizabeth II as head of state, and that person should not complain that the Queen's representative was sworn in on Emancipation Day. He said that there is nothing sacred about emancipation after the concept of getting rid of colonialism was rejected in 2009, and therefore his opinion differs from those who said it was wrong to install the new Governor General on Emancipation Day.
I say that because it was clear to me that whatever sentiments the people of this country had concerning emancipation, the majority of the electorate of this country on the 25th of November 2009 practically abolished emancipation. When they rejected the attempt, among other things, to remove the monarchy from the headship of state of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and voted in no uncertain terms to keep Her Majesty the Queen. The choice was given. A new constitution was proposed, albeit repeating many of the clauses of the old constitution, but bringing in a number of new institutions, particularly attempting to move us away from the Queen.
Campbell said that it is idle to pretend that SVG is not part of Her Majesty's dominion because the present constitution makes it clear.
And I was surprised that distinguished persons could write in the newspaper doubting that Queen Elizabeth II is the Queen of St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Well, this is what the existing constitution says. First of all, the existing constitution was given to us by letters patent from the Queen Mother and the Prince of Wales. So when we got our independence constitution on the 27th of October 1979, we got it by virtue of a letters patent signed at the Court of St. James in London on the 26th of July 1979. That's when the letters patent was signed, saying that Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II, the Queen Mother, and His Royal Highness the Prince Charles, Prince of Wales, conferred our new constitution on us. And we got the instruments on the 27th of October 2009.
The Queen's Counsel highlighted two clauses in the present constitution which gave the Queen right over SVG. Clause 19, which spoke about installing a new Governor General, and 23, having the Queen mace inside of Parliament. 19,
quote, "There shall be a Governor General of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, who shall be appointed by Her Majesty, and shall hold office during Her Majesty's pleasure, and who shall be Her Majesty's representative in St. Vincent and the Grenadines." Section 23 of the Constitution, it says, "There shall be a Parliament of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which shall consist of Her Majesty and a House of Assembly." That is our Parliament. And if you go to any session of Parliament, at the beginning of the session, You will see a gentleman with a shiny metal object on one of his shoulders. He comes to the entrance of the chamber and he shouts, "Mr. Speaker!" That object carried by the sergeant at arms is called a mace. It is in the form of a crown, and that mace signifies the presence of Her Majesty in the chamber.
Final preparations wrapped up last evening for those who will be performing as part of SVG's delegation to CARIFESTA 14 in Trinidad. At the rehearsal last evening, a number of the delegates say they are honored to be part of the contingent and they promise to make SVG proud. Larissa Pugsley Kidd tells us more in this report.
With just 2 days before CARIFESTA 14 opens in Trinidad, the final rehearsals for SVG's delegation was held last evening at the Peace Memorial Hall, where they presented their melting pot performance under the tagline Vinci Mise. The majority of the delegates are dancers from 6 dance groups. Head of Dance Maxine Brown said for many it is their first time, but they are well prepared to showcase their skills in Trinidad.
So we have dancers from the Legacy Dance Company, from the Renaissance Dance Company, from the Albers Dance Company, from Diadem Dancers, from Avenue Dancers. And this year, for the first time, we have from the Grenadines. And we call them Cultural Conquerors.
All the performances are said to be one with a difference. Some of the representatives said they will give off their best and will make SVG proud.
It's a wonderful opportunity. It is one where we get to share our culture, our unique culture from the Grenadines to the rest of the world.
I enjoy dance, it's my passion, so I can't wait to get to Trinidad to really showcase what I can do and what my country means to me.
For me, everyone knows me as a hip-hop dancer, right? But for CARIFESTA 2019, I'm going to be doing something different, so you can look out for that.
I deem this an honor and a pleasure to be chosen to dance, because dance is life, and it's an art form that I enjoy very much.
This is my first time representing St. Vincent for CARIFESTA. Some of our dances are Take Me, which is a song by Razam Shallow. We have a Garifuna dance.
It is actually my first time involved in the CARIFESTA, and I must say that I'm very excited and looking forward to greatness.
In addition to the dancers, there are calypso and soca artists, panists, and arts and crafts. At the opening of CARIFESTA on Friday, artists from various countries will be performing. Fire Empress and Hans John will be representing SVG during this showcase. Local products will also be on display, and according to head of the management committee, Ashford Wood, this year SVG will have more to showcase at the Caribbean's premier cultural festival.
Persons will be at the Grand Market and they will be displaying their products. They will be there in food and gourmet, they will be there in craft, and so on.
More than 15 countries are expected to participate in this year's CARIFESTA activities, with each participating country given a day for their delegation to showcase what their country has to offer. SVG will be on showcase on Saturday, August 17, 2019, and Vincentians here at home will be able to view the presentation through live streaming. Reporting for SVG-TV News, Larissa Pugsley Kidd.